Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve the mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Ooh. Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Ooh. Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Danger, watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Woo! Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Woo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales. Woo! We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. The man makes you know. He can't fucking breathe. The man makes you know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, you've clearly made your way past the shrine of the Silver Monkey and here to the I'm No Joe podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to break down the shit talking and shenanigans, the fight news and fuckery that has fallen down the MMA gutter since we saw you wonderful folks last. But before we get into all that, first and foremost, gentlemen, how the fuck you doing over there?
way more excited about this week's card than I am last week's, even though it's not a really fucking high bar.
True.
I kind of feel the same way. It's been kind of going to shit. We've lost some fights and some change ups, but we still have a couple of good ones. And like Golf, you said, I've got something to be excited for this weekend.
Absolutely. So before we get into everything, if you are watching this live, you officially have 1 week. The giveaway closes next Friday. If you are listening to this in the all audio version when it first came out, that means you have 1 day tomorrow. You got to get your shit together. If you are a cannabis consumer, go win yourself a shiny brand new banger setup. The giveaway is on the other video on the channel here. It is free to enter as long as you are over 18 and live in the United States. Go enter, get yourself some free shit, make your 710 better. That being said, first and foremost, the way we like to kick things off around here, a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, fight cancellations, rumor confirmations, and things of that nature that have all shaken down the news wire since we saw you folks last week. We've got a couple of interesting ones here. If you thought that somehow we were going to make it into UFC Saudi Arabia without a card shakeup, you haven't been following the previous week's bingo cards. We got a couple of them here, as if we needed more coming into Saudi Arabia that literally we got a brand new main event for just a week ago. We got another couple of shakeups here on the card. First one we're going to talk about real quick. There's a reason that I tell you guys the combat sports menu, which I'm going to go over after I do the news here so I don't forget till the end of the fucking show again. See, I remember stuff. There's a reason I do these combat sports menu, and I tell you guys about all of the other cards that are going on every weekend, about all of the other organizations, and predominantly all of the other feeder organizations, where basically the goal of that organization is to take someone from the ground, bring them up to become their champion, and then send them to the UFC or to Bellator or to PFL or to ONE FC or to one of the major organizations, basically as an ambassador of the way that their organization can develop talent and create stars. There's a reason that I tell you guys about all this shit, because we got proof of that this week, just yesterday. Octagon, one of the European organizations that I tell you about pretty much every week they have an event, released one of their high-ranking fucking fighters, Felipe Lima, so that he can step in Saturday and fight on the UFC card in Saudi Arabia on 4 days' notice. You don't get things like that unless you have a good working relationship and unless your organization fully understands its role in the hierarchy of combat sports promotions. These are literally opportunities to take one of your highly touted prospects and throw them directly into the spotlight and make your organization look better. That's exactly what Octagon did. And they even made a beautiful post on Twitter in, I believe, 4 different languages, expressing how proud they are and how grateful they are for the UFC to have given one of their fighters the opportunity to get called up, and how exemplary this is, and how they have no hard feelings about releasing him from his contract so that he can step in on just a couple days' notice to help the UFC put on such a giant card that they're doing in Saudi Arabia. It all comes together, people. This is the kind of shit that I tell you about this for. So we got another one here. The gentleman's name is, I believe it's pronounced Luderbach. Out last minute, 3 days notice. Antonio Tricoli is stepping in to take on Shara Bullet this weekend, who said, as you would expect him to, doesn't matter the name, we're ready to go. So again, from the top of the fucking card, we got the main event shaken up. We got our co-main event because the main event got shaken up. Now we've got Felipe Lima stepping in to take on somebody, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but then we've got Luderbach out as well, and Antonio Tricoli stepping in to take on Shara Bullet to keep Shara Bullet on the card. It's just shakeup after shakeup here. But the bigger one, I think the bigger story, or the biggest story so far right now, coming into UFC Saudi Arabia this weekend, is during the press day that they had yesterday, Kelvin Gastelum basically said that he is having, quote unquote, a rough weight cut and that things are going to have to be shifted around. The fight, as of right now, he said there is no way he's going to make 170 pounds, period. So they've already said it. And Daniel Rodriguez, being the fucking gangster that he is, already agreed to make this fight a late notice middleweight 185-pound fight. And even then, Gastelum says he realistically doesn't know if he's going to be able to make 185 pounds, knowing for how fucking long this fight had been booked. Now he's having trouble making the weight class above where he said he, quote unquote, was going to re-envision himself. Calvin, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? Like, if he misses 185, I think this realistically could be the last time we see KG in a UFC get out. And there's no one to blame but himself at this point, between blowing weight cuts when he was killing, or when he kicked his own nutritionist out the door, to letting his girlfriend run his entire camps, and we've seen what a nightmare that's turned into for him, to deciding halfway out the door of retirement to try and cut down a 15-pound fucking weight class, not a 10-pound like the lower guys, a 15-pound from middleweight back down to fucking welterweight, which he had problems in his younger days making. Kelvin is clearly going through it right now. And if he doesn't make middleweight Saturday in Saudi Arabia, win or lose, I don't think we see him in the UFC again. If he does even make weight and then still gets smoked by D-Rod, like I'm willing to bet, and I'm pretty sure most of Vegas is going to agree with me that he's likely to happen, we still might see Kelvin Gastelum get his walking papers. And that's not to say that he's completely done. He still, as a fucking former Olympian, has all the potential in him to turn this around, get his shit back on track, and actually do something. But at this point in the game, that fucking window is shrinking rapidly, and it's not going to be too much longer before his big fat fucking head can't get through it anymore, period. We'll see what happens as we get closer to Saturday. But I would not put my money on Kelvin Gastelum making weight this weekend, even for the catch weight, changed weight fight class. So we will see as we get closer to this weekend if he actually makes it or not. Lots of doubt, though. Lots of fucking doubt, to say the least. Speaking of doubt, we got kind of a cryptic tweet on, was it Monday night or Tuesday morning? And then this afternoon, we found out why that cryptic tweet came out. Ryan Garcia basically said earlier this week that he's done with the game and that he's retiring. Well, we found out today why he was throwing his public hissy fit before anyone else realized what was going on, because the New York State Athletic Commission came back with its ruling, and they handed him down a 1-year suspension, his entire purse from the Devin Haney fight, plus $10,000 fine forfeited, and the biggest 1-2 to the ego, the win over Devin Haney officially overturned to a no contest. Devin Haney is now officially undefeated once again, and Ryan's record returns to 24-1. He then tweeted this afternoon that he's not done fighting. He's just done boxing because the game has shown its true colors to him. But he's considering coming to try and help save UFC 303 next weekend. He said Dana White needs to call him. He'll strap the kit on and step in to help save the card for International Fight Week.
Yeah,
as if we needed more proof.
I just wanted to say this. I'm praying for the kid. I really like seemingly being crazy going into that Haney fight, but then having the biggest moment of his career and then popping hot for some shit. Now, all this happening, right? You're ruining your career, still a crazy shit, and his mom apparently going through cancer.
And he's
so
getting
pray
divorced
for
now.
the kid that he can find some sort of help and get in the right state of mind. You don't like to see it, but yeah, it's this bad look for the kid.
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm not bringing this story up to shit on the fucking kid. Like, I'm not the type of dude to kick a guy when he's clearly having mental health struggles. Like, I genuinely hope that he gets the help that he very clearly needs. But at the same time, This is a kid who put himself in the public spotlight, and we can't turn a blind eye to the shenanigans that he's pulling now that things aren't starting to not go his way. And it seems like he genuinely might have gotten caught cheating and just can't handle it. I don't wish bad for the kid, but at the same time, I'm not going to fucking ignore this kid throwing a tantrum in the middle of Walmart either. If his mom's not going to fucking spank him, somebody needs to walk up and give that kid a pound on the ass. At this point, the New York State Athletic Commission seems to be the one with the red hot hand ready to fucking go. So swing away, baby, swing away. But yes, obviously, we all hope that Ryan Garcia gets the help that he very clearly needs, because at this point, he is pulling an epic proportioned cheddar bob on his own fucking legacy. And realistically, it's to the point now where I'm not 100% sure anything he can do will be able to salvage it 100%. There's obviously still a chance for him to get it back together and get back out there and try and do more good, but he has clearly at this point done irreparable damage to his legacy.
Yep.
So
yeah, he's ruined
point,
his career. I just hope he doesn't off himself, you know.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, you just got to hope that the kid gets the help that he needs before this spiral path reaches the dark end that we all know it will if no one can get him off the fucking gas pedal here. So I don't know if it's the booger sugar like a lot of people are saying it is, or what the fuck is going on. Maybe there's genuinely just wires not crossed properly somewhere, but the kid very honestly 100% needs fucking help before it's too late. And too late is coming sooner than later. So it's like I said, we don't talk about this kind of shit to make light of it or to make fun of it, but it's something that needs to be acknowledged. This is happening in the life of a fucking, a star under 35 fucking years old. The kid literally has the world at his fingertips, and he's imploding before our very fucking eyes. So this is, if nothing else, a fucking lesson for future fighters. Take note. Don't take your fucking shit lightly. When you get to the stage, take it seriously, because if you don't, they won't take you seriously anymore either. Speaking of things not to be taken seriously, though, we got some very interesting and kind of cryptic in some cases fight announcements this week that I want to run down here real quick. The first one we all heard about, Mike Tyson having his issue on the plane, was deemed a light medical issue, nothing major, but because of that, his fight with Voldemort has been pushed all the way back to November now. Well, apparently, Voldemort was not keen on letting go of that July 20th date, so he went ahead and signed his own name in the fucking Death Note book and decided that he's going to take on the one and only Iron One, not Mike Tyson, the other one. Mike Perry is officially stepping in to lace up the gloves and put the Disney kid's head to canvas. I'm not any more excited about this than I was the actual Tyson fight. The difference here is that in the Tyson's fight, if Mike wins, it's a 60-year-old man smacking around a 20-something-year-old Disney kid. In this situation, this is the youngest opponent that Voldemort has ever stood across from in a ring. This is the most close to a current competing challenger he has stood across from. And quite honestly, probably the hardest puncher he has stood across a squared circle from in his entire quote unquote career. And I use air quotes because what he's doing is not a fucking career. This, though, this has a potential here, because if this goes the way that it should, this isn't going to be the Ben Askren scenario all over again. Mike Perry has a chin made of platinum. He might not have a dome made of platinum, but that chin is fucking granite. He can withstand some punishment. And like he said, I can take pain to give pain. Could make things very interesting very quickly, especially if he does his job. That could put November in jeopardy and actually put a wrinkle in this whole ignorant fucking circus we've been forced to fucking watch so far. Maybe.
Let me get my drink ready. I'm gonna need to wash my mouth out after I say this. I'm 100% backing Platinum Mike Perry on this. It's the one and only time you will ever hear me call him Platinum Mike Perry. I hope he drills a hole so far in that dude's fucking head that we never see him enter any sort of combat sport again. Okay, now it tastes like the cat shit in my mouth. I'm gonna rinse my mouth out. I'm done.
I get that. I get that. No, I am unabashedly a huge fucking fan of Mike Perry's resurgent career in the world of bare knuckle. That is the kind of shit that lunatic was genuinely born and fucking bred for. And it shows every time that psychopath steps into the fucking ring. He is 100% a modern day gladiator. He would have fit in so well in Rome, but we got him here, and he does so well in bare knuckle. And the thing that people don't realize is, yes, Mike Perry is an MMA guy, but he's been an MMA guy for 15 fucking years from the street fighting world. He wasn't a AAA fucking collegiate wrestler. He wasn't some fucking Sambo world champion. He's a fucking dipshit from Miami who's good at street fighting, found a boxing gym and tripped dick first into MMA. Quite literally. You know what Mike Perry's done for the last 15 years to train for his MMA career? Spoiler alert, it ain't fucking wrestling. He puts boxing gloves on damn near every fucking day, and he trains boxing, and he has for a decade and change. Since dipshit was still rocking Mickey Mouse fucking ears, Mike Perry has been genuinely training with fucking boxing gloves on to box. This isn't going to be the Rumble in the Jungle, but this is, I will say, genuinely the closest to an actual matchup Voldemort has made since his coming out of the boxing closet here. I don't think it's going to go the way that he hopes it goes, but it is genuinely the closest to a legitimate matchup he's gotten so far. So like I try to say a million times, and I'll say it a million times more, we give credit where credit is due here. I don't like that little fucker, and I hope he gets a hole punch through his stupid fucking haircut. But I will give him credit. This is approaching legitimacy. It's still not there, but we're sniffing around the area. That being said, I need a fucking drink. Moving on from that nonsense. We did get some good announcements here. I don't want it to seem all doom and gloom. We did get some good ones. Cryptic is the word that I used earlier, and this is the one that I was referring to here, because not to be outdone, the style bender himself, Israel Adesanya, broke the official news that August 17th for UFC 305 down in Perth, he will in fact be taking on Dricus du Plessis to try and get his belt back. The reason I say it's a little bit cryptic is because he announced it before the UFC did. Apparently, once his manager got confirmation that Dricus had signed the contract and the date was officially confirmed, Israel Adesanya made his own fucking post on social media, which ironically Dana White heard about while he was on another fucking podcast. I believe he was talking to Jim Rome again this time, and heard that Israel Adesanya just posted that he's fighting Dricus du Plessis at 305. And he confirmed it. It is official. So we know for sure the rematch, or not the rematch, the rundown that we should have had before the Strickland situation got involved will officially now go down in 305 with the belt on the other side of the table this time, though. So is he coming in as a challenger? Could make things very interesting and very different than what we almost potentially saw when it was the other way around here. But obviously, we'll keep a close eye on that one as we get a little closer to August. Not obviously one that anybody necessarily was clamoring for. I don't honestly know that anybody really was even asking for it, but we are going to be getting it apparently August 24th live from Mexico City on DAZN will be Floyd Mayweather versus John Gotti III, the rebooking for some reason. For those of you that don't know, John Gotti III is indeed the great grandson of the infamous mobster, a less than dozen pro and amateur fight competitor, but big shit talker, and got under Floyd's skin to the extent that Floyd gave him a fight that was very bad for the first 5.5 rounds, at which point the referee intervened and tried to stop the fight because neither one of them were listening to him. When the referee tried to stop the fight, John Gotti III went around the referee to try and keep punching Floyd Mayweather, at which point he waved the entire fight off, and then both corners came in and cleared the benches like a little league soccer fight. Apparently, they've decided that that nonsense was so good, they're going to do it again, and they're going to do it in Mexico City so that neither one of them have the hometown advantage in the crowd, I would assume, on DAZN. So we will see how that circus unfolds as we get a little closer to that for some fucking reason. Over on the other side of the house here, Bellator gave us a couple of interesting announcements here. They've got a pair of shows coming up here. Bellator San Diego will go down on September 7th and will officially be headlined by a rebooking people have actually been asking for here. Usman Nurmagomedov defending his 155-pound belt against Alex Chablis. That fight went down previously, but Usman missed weight and was ineligible to actually compete for the belt. So they are actually putting it back on the line, assuming that Usman is going to make weight this time and make it a legitimate contest. We'll see. But the following weekend, September 14th, they are going back over the pond to do another Bellator London card, which is going to be headlined by another rebooking, Johnny Eblen taking on Fabian Edwards in an attempt to get his belt back. Doing that in London is obviously a bold move for Johnny, but I think if he wins it there, it will absolutely cement him a little more so than winning it anywhere else would. We'll see if we can get to that point, though. Last fight announcement that I've got here is from over on the ONE FC side of things here. November 8th, they will be putting on a card live from Atlanta, and they have just announced that the headline fight for that card will be Anatoly Malikin defending his heavyweight belt against Rug, which if you have not seen Rug, please, my goodness, just take 5 minutes once this show is over. REUG space REUG, Rug. Just type it into Google, Bing, whatever search engine tickles your fancy, and spend 30 seconds scrolling through the video section. And when the top of your head folds back together like a reverse pumpkin explosion video, you'll understand why this fight's going to be so fucking huge. That is just a massive pile of human beings to be in a fucking cage, and it's going to be fun as shit. I'm fairly goddamn confident. So there is that. Excuse me. We got a pair of ladies making big announcements moving into MMA this week. One, an Olympic runner-up, got to be technical here, Olympic runner-up on the ladies wrestling side of things in Forrest Molinari, and then a Brazilian, words live, a ladies Brazilian jiu-jitsu phenom, Bia Mesquita. Both of them are making their move officially to MMA from their respective worlds here. Both of them expected to get high-profile signings, be it UFC, ONE FC, PFLator, one of the big organizations, expected to scoop up both of those ladies, whether they get them both or one or the other. We will be keeping an eye on because I'm fairly confident they're not going to be quote-unquote free agents for very long in either case. The last one I've got here today, I both get it and I don't get it at the same time, but credit where credit is due. Tip of the cap to him. Mark O. Madsen, the Olympian former UFC competitor, since retiring, has officially decided to start up his own fight promotion in Denmark, calling it the Dominance Fighting Championships. They have already booked several fights in Denmark and Sweden, trying to take over basically the mid-European range where there are a lot of fighters coming out of, but not a lot of fights being put on. So a lot of those fighters are having to travel all the way across Europe or all the way here to the United States to get their fights. Madsen is hoping to try and alleviate some of that and fill that void, so to speak, in the center of Europe, in terms of combat sports, in which case, good on him. Tip of the cap. Hope you do fucking spectacular. Become the next Octagon. They're clearly doing the right thing. So the potential is there for it. That being said, that's what I've got for news in terms of this week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything I've not missed?
Nothing important. Just hearsay, and hearsay I'm not going to talk about right now.
That's right.
The only thing I wanted to touch on, because I know we're all fans of Bo Nickel. He came out and said it this week that he would have gotten a fight this weekend if he wouldn't have been on a hunting trip. And it just feels like a giant kick in the balls that we could have had Bo Nickel fighting Bobby Knuckles and having the chance to already get put in the title picture.
Yeah, apparently they did reach
I don't
out
want
to
to
Bo
give
Nickel.
him shit a little bit. It's like, God damn it, man. Why weren't you in the gym training? Why are you out hunting right now? It's been a minute since your last fight.
But, you know, I
I'm
can
gonna
What it
say,
is. I'm a country boy myself. I love to hunt. That's just breaking balls kind of shit. It's really just, it's kicking the sack being a fan of. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
As a fan, it is a kick in the sack. But on the other side of that, I appreciate a dude who still wants to get out and do his own thing outside of his job. Yes, his job is fucking fighting. We all enjoy it. We get the chance to watch him compete and absolutely decimate people. But same time, I look at it kind of like Jim Miller. I fucking love Jim Miller. But seeing all the shit he does outside of the UFC just for his own personal enjoyment and betterment of his life, I can't be mad at that. Like Bo Nickel, obviously he's a fucking family man. You can tell that. He's a hunter. Dude, he's got his priorities straight. It just so happened that nobody expects these things to fall through like this and have to get that last second call. So yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
I
just
just
the
paid.
fact that the UFC was willing to give him that. Hopefully, they fucking give him a decent fucking fight here.
right.
Yeah, I
You
wish
were
that
willing to
worked that
give
way,
him the
but
number one guy. Let's give him somebody good.
I'm sure if they would have offered maybe to pay for the hunting trip he was already on, because I'm guessing he's doing something like Rogan, out hunting elk, where it costs thousands of fucking dollars to go do.
Yeah, where you have no reception whether you want it or not.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're willing to refund me for what I was paying out for that, sure. But, you know, and even at that point, that might be one of those once in a lifetime hunts that he's on. Who knows?
Well, I actually was talking about this with a buddy of mine this afternoon as well. As much as I love Bo Nickel, I don't know if a 3-day, literally get home, pack your bag, drive to the airport, get on a plane to Saudi Arabia while you're cutting weight on a plane, 3-day short notice fight with Robert Whitaker for 5 rounds would have been a good idea for him. Ikram was already in camp. He was already going to be fighting. It's just a different opponent with 2 more rounds. That's not the biggest stretch in the world, but for a guy to literally, good as shape as he might be in, for a guy like Bo to literally get off the couch, get on a plane, like within an hour of getting the phone call, pack your bag, drive to the fucking airport right now, get on a plane right now and fly to Saudi Arabia, because 72 hours from the time you hang up the phone, you're stepping in a cage to fight Robert Whitaker at 185 pounds for the main event in Saudi Arabia's first ever UFC card. I love Bo. I really fucking do. But I think that might have been a bit more steak than his big ass could have chewed off, even if he did bite it. I think this is going to work out for the best. I think this Ikram fight, well, I think we all agree the Khamzat fight would have been the fight. That circumstances beyond anyone's control. Now that one's off the table. I think given the opportunity, Ikram is going to step up. I don't think this is going to be, we'll talk about this more later, but I don't think Ikram is taking this one lightly. I think Ikram understands the severity of the situation. And I think given the location where this fight is, I think it's going to work out a lot better than Bo stepping in on 3 days notice off the couch from a fucking mountain in Montana somewhere or whatever. It would have played out for us as fans and for Bo, really. But like you said, that's one of the situations where we know he was on the UFC short call list. We have proof. So they're keeping him in mind for big opportunities coming up shortly, aside from anything else they've got on the horizon for him, which is good for Bo. So that does bode well for damn sure. But that being said, that is what I've got for news and recent events this week. Before we go a little further, I am going to run down the combat sports fight menu for the weekend for this week, so I don't forget and leave it till the last minute. We do have a couple of cards going down this weekend, not just the UFC. And the UFC actually isn't even the last card of the weekend like it generally is here. So to kick things off right out of the gate at the top, starting off tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central tomorrow afternoon, PFL 5, the second branch of their final regular season matchups, win and you're in situation for like half the people on this roster. So there are a couple guys who, if they want a chance to stay in this fucking $1 million tournament, not only have to win, but they have to do it with a finish and they have to do it early. So there's a lot of pressure on a lot of these guys to get that million or stay in the running for that million. Tomorrow afternoon, PFL 5 kicks off. Kicking things over to Saturday, though, starting bright and early at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central fucking time. From Dublin, Ireland, the Bellator Champion Series Dublin kicks off. Mr. Jason Jackson, the bad man himself, defends his 170-pound strap. Paul Hughes and the 155-pound champion aspirations are in the co-main event. Sinead Kavanagh, Arlene Blenko, ladies going back for the belt. Chance in the people's co-main event. There's a bunch of good fights on this Bellator card as well. Saturday, late afternoon, I say with air quotes, starting at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. UFC Saudi Arabia, Robert Whitaker versus Ikram Aliskerov kicks off. That is a spectacular card. We're going to run down that one here in a little bit. But if that is too early for you, you don't have to worry, because Saturday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, is LFA 186, another one of those organizations that we call the feeders that send their guys into the UFC almost as soon as they start showing prospects. So there's a couple of ladies fights, there's a bunch of guys fights. The belt is on the line in the middleweight division for the main event. Good fights kicking off late Saturday. That being said, this is the point here where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been, you start to develop habits and you learn what you like to watch and when it comes on and how to watch it. And you develop a set of blinders, as it were. You start to lose the forest for the trees, metaphorically speaking. Luckily for us, though, here on the I'm No Joe podcast, we have ourselves a bona fide young person who diligently stays out there, ever so delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us all abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they actually are names, in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, start off with the cans, like always. First one I got, Moin Gafarov. This dude just has not looked good since he came to the UFC. Losing his first couple fights. He's got a lot of finishes. I mean, 17 finishes of his 18 wins. But so far in the UFC, just absolute dud. He fighting Mr. Perfect himself. I don't see things looking brighter for this guy. So I'm throwing him in the can. Probably already going to get cut. 0-3, not much hope for him. I got Kelvin in the can. Like you said earlier on the pod, might be the last time we see him. With him saying that he's going to struggle to make the 185, I was like, oh, man, that just made it worse. I was already like, this fight doesn't really make sense. I'm not that interested in it. Daniel Rodriguez, they're both the same kind of guy. Neither one of them can really stay healthy. Both of them have always really had trouble making weight. And then they're also kind of back and forth. They're just not the greatest of fighters. It is what it is. They've had some good moments, but they've also shat the bed. I've got Gastelum. You could throw that fight in the fucking can, but honestly, Gastelum as a whole, just not seeming good with saying the shit that he was saying the other day. And then I got 2 fights I'm for sure throwing the whole fucking thing in the trash. Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Antonio Tricoli. The UFC continuing to give Tricoli a fucking chance. Don't get it. Don't understand it. I get trying to save a fight again, but at the same time, we know Shara's a piece of shit as a human being, and the dude looked horrible in his debut. He's got no takedown defense and no ground game whatsoever. The fact that he made Bruno Silva look good, even if he still got the win, pretty sad. Having 10 out of 11 fucking wins by a knockout going into that, then having that kind of performance against Bruno Silva, not a good look. Now he's fighting an absolute fucking cannon, Tricoli. Not interested in the fight at all. Don't care about what the hell happens with it. And then another fight I got to throw in the can. Same way that I feel about the Shara Bullet fight. And Walker versus Ozdemir. Like, this could maybe be decent because both of these guys have knockout power. They've had knockouts in their career multiple times, right? But this just, to me, feels like snooze fest, walrus slap fight written all over it. I don't give a damn about it. There's some of the fights on here that I'm excited for, but those fights just give no fucks about whatsoever. One guy got on the fence. I got a Schrodinger's contender, Nasrat Haqparast. I feel like this guy he's 28. He's still got a lot of potential, and he's been back on a climb. He's got a 3-fight winning streak now, but he had a tough skid before that. Now that he's starting to work his way back up a little bit, how's he going to do? I mean, Flash, Jared Gordon, he got robbed on the Patty fight. He's not really the greatest fighter, but it will help Haqparast climb up a little bit. The lightweight division's deep as hell. Like I said, the kid's young. He's on the fence, though, still. You lose a fight like Jared Gordon, just kind of proves that you're not really ever going to work your way towards actual rankings. The kid keeps stringing them together. Maybe we'll throw him in the contender spot one day soon. So that's why I got him on the fence there. The actual contenders, a lot of Russians, man. I threw the majority of the Russians in here. So obviously Ikram Alexeyev, we talked about it last weekend. You know, he would have been in the contender spot last week. And then they moved him to this. Now you're fighting the number one dude in Robert Whittaker, former fucking champ. You beat him, you're probably the next in line for the belt. Unless Izzy wins and he actually wants to rematch Strickland. You know, it puts him in a damn good spot, that's for sure. He'll definitely be in the title picture. Yeah, you got Robert Whittaker as well in that same mix. Like, that fight is probably the best fight, or at least the most interesting fight, the one I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out because of how hard Bobby Knuckles has been training for fucking Khamzat Chimaev, and then this kid, Ikram, has been training for a fight, but then had to cut weight twice in the past couple of weeks, and he's not been training for Robert Whittaker. He's been training for a fucking can. So if he beats Robert Whittaker, that's going to be impressive as fuck, right? Interested in it. I got both of them as a contender because Robert Whittaker knocks this kid out. It's not Khamzat, but it still keeps him in that title picture, even if he's already lost to Dricus and fought Izzy twice, still keeps him in the mix. I got Muhammad Naimov, this kid from Tajikistan. He's looked fantastic since he got in the UFC, winning his first 3 fights. He's getting an easy one at this point. He was getting Melsik Bagdasaryan. Bagdasaryan had to pull out. Now he's got this kid, Felipe Lima. I think he's going to easily get the win. Lima's a young kid. He's got a good record and shit. But just that experience and a really tough guy that's already been beating tough guys in the UFC. We're looking forward to see what he continues to do. And I got a fight as a whole, Renat Fakhretdinov versus Nicholas Dalby. Dalby's been on a 4-fight winning streak. 6-1 in the UFC. Even if he's 39, he's getting older. The dude's, I guess, knocking on the fucking top 15 if he beats this guy that's been on a 21 fight unbeaten streak. Had a draw on his last fight and 20 fucking wins in a row beforehand. So Renat Fikretdinov, he beats Dalby, who's on the win streak, pushes himself close to the rankings too. Either way, feel like that's one of the better fights, at least one that I am slightly interested in seeing. Could be good. Easy contender to finish it off, Sergey Pavlovich. I think he's going to beat Alexander Volkov. That's another fight I'm fucking excited for. Russian versus Russian violence. I'm here for it. The first heavyweight fight of the year I'm truly excited for. Because when we think about the matchup they gave Derek Lewis, the moment was great. Derek getting that knockout, but Rodrigo Nascimento was a horrible matchup. Earlier in the year, Curtis Blades, Halton Almeida, that was not a good matchup. Wasn't really a good fight either. We have not had a good heavyweight fight this whole fucking year yet. I'm excited for this. I think Pavlovich is going to fucking blow Volkov's socks off. It just puts him right back up in the title picture. At least right behind Tom, right? It's muddied the fuck up because John's at the top. We know that. But we also know this dude's been called Ivan Drago for a reason. So I expect to see some fireworks in that fight. Love to hear what you boys got. Probably slim pickings on the contenders for Golf T as always, but I know he's got some shit to throw in the trash.
There's always shit to throw in the trash lately. Although I will say, compared to last week's card, this is 10 steps above last week's fuckery. Last week, I legitimately did not watch a single fight. Not one. Not even the main event. And that was the only one I said was going to be worth watching. At least this week, the fights on this one make a little bit more sense. One, you're in the Middle East, so you're going to see a lot of Russian fighters. You're going to see a lot of Islamic fighters on there. And casual note to the side, which I'll actually, you know what, I'll save that for a little bit later. So this way we can throw that in with some other stuff. But start with here. I 100% agree with the Renat Fakrdinov and Nicholas Dalby. That fight as a whole, that's a contender fight to me. Dalby's been on a streak. Fakrdinov has been on a streak as well, except for the draw that he somehow managed in his last fight. Well, I say he managed. I think his opponent managed to draw better than he did. But, tomato, tomato. That fight is definitely well worth looking forward to. To be honest, I still don't know why that's on the undercard. They need to remove the Shara Bullet and Antonio Tricoli and put that on the prelims. In fact, that could be the fucking early prelim for all I care. A one-trick pony who's obviously gonna get somebody after Tricoli is just gonna fucking show what a fraud the dude is. So I don't care if you're a fucking one-eyed pirate or not. Don't get me wrong, that's a cool thing, but still doesn't fucking matter. Both of those guys trash fight. Agree there. Now, I will say you did swing at some pretty low-hanging fruit as far as cans are concerned. When you're calling Kelvin Gastelum out for being a can, that's pretty low-hanging fruit. We kind of know that. But I'm not mad at you because I was going to do the same fucking thing. Because if you can't fucking make weight and then you still say you can't make weight or might not make weight with 15 pounds extra, give that dude some fucking walking papers. The last time he was good was when he fought Israel Adesanya. And
That's
how
why
long
I
ago?
had to throw him in the can, like you both have said, man. He should just be on his way out.
Yeah. Now, as far as legitimate cans that I look on here, to be honest, the first 3 fucking fights on the card, all fucking cans. New guys have no idea who the fuck they are. Nothing is tripping a trigger for me at all. Although, we got somebody on there from Bahrain, but you know what that means to me? Not a goddamn thing. Don't care. They're just feeding it to the fucking crowd that's there, and I understand that. You got to do what you can. In fact, wait a minute, I can't say the first three because Kang he's been decent, but a lot of the South Korean fighters have been decent. It just what's the best way to put it? It's a shit show of shit shows on the lower half of the card. The top half, not much better. And to be honest, even the heavyweight bout, I'm not excited to watch Sergey Pavlovich knock out Alexander Volkov in the first round. If Alexander Volkov gets out of the first round with him, I think Volkov wins that fight. But I don't think he's going to. Now, D-Rod, in my opinion, I still give him contender status. There's something about that dude where he's got an it factor. If he could just string his shit together, he'd go places, but he seems to have issues doing that. I will say the fight as a whole in Johnny Walker and Volkan Ozdemir, that's a Schrodinger's contender because we have no idea what the fuck is going to happen there. It's either going to blow our socks off because somebody's going to go night night and something crazy is going to happen, or it's going to be a terrible walrus slap fight. So, as a whole, Schrodinger's contender to that. To be honest, my contender is Robert fucking Whitaker. He does well in situations like this. But the reason I call him a contender is not because of this fight. It's because when he's starting to get into the high pressure situations of, I get a shot at the title if I win this, he screws the fucking pooch. He's been screwing the pooch left and right since he lost the title to Adesanya. Since then, we haven't seen the same fucking Robert Whitaker. Don't get me wrong. I still don't want to meet the dude in the fucking dark alley and have to fight him because I'll die. And I still have a lot of respect for the dude, but he's the gatekeeper for who's the next in line for a title shot, in my opinion. So he's kind of my fucking Schrodinger's contender for that specific reason. And if for some odd reason we see him screw the pooch on this fucking last minute Ikram Alexskarov, that's the last we see of Whitaker ever having a chance at a title run again. To Ikram's credit, he has fucking done fantastic to get where he is so far because they pulled him out of, what was it? Was it out of 303 or no, it was next week's card. Or no, the week after 303 or farther. I don't fucking remember. But it doesn't matter. They pulled him out of a fight he was already in. So that way he could take this fight. Not mad at him. Shoot for the stars, but sometimes don't write a check your fucking bankroll cash because I have a feeling that's what's gonna happen this week.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight last weekend, so
Yeah,
he
it
was
was-
already cutting weight last week, and then they moved it here. That's the only thing where I think it's going to be really tough for the kid. Having to
Yeah,
cut weight twice in 2 weeks and
but
fly all the way to fucking Saudi Arabia. That's a little
I
rough.
mean, on the plus side though, if they flew him straight there from where he was last week in Vegas, he'll be just fine. He'll have plenty of time to fucking get his bearings together. But knowing it's going to be 5 rounds, I don't think he was ready for 5 rounds because he was only training for a 3-round fight. Hell, to be honest, the only other one that I had to say as far as cans are concerned, featherweight bout and Felipe Lima and Muhammad Naya. If I keep fucking his name up. Doesn't matter. Think about those two. Not worth fucking their weight. I don't see either one of them going anywhere in the featherweight division. The featherweight division is too stacked for either one of them to do anything.
I agree with the vast majority of both of your assessments here. Despite it being a historic card in Saudi Arabia, the first one for the UFC, it's still a fight night card at the end of the day. And even worse than that, it's a fight night hangover card because we've got a pay-per-view next weekend. So it's in a double tough spot here. And then you add to that it's fallen victim to the last minute curse that the UFC has just been fucking plagued with this year. We lost a fucking main event. We got our fucking people's co-main event getting switched around here. 3 out of the 5 prelims have had fights switched around on it, or fighters switched around in the fights. This is essentially what happened the first time when they initially tried to book the UFC Saudi Arabia card back in the beginning of the year, and Saudi Arabia pulled the plug at the last minute here. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised we're here Thursday night and they're still going forward with what we have left of the originally scheduled UFC Saudi Arabia Take 2 card here. That being said, the UFC does understand the significance of this, and it might not be a pay-per-view lineup here, but they did try and reach as deep as they could with what's available to try and put something together here. And there are some very interesting matchups here. Like TJ mentioned, you can never count Kyung Ho Kang completely out. He might be up and down sometimes. He might not be a reliable bet, but he's never boring. And that's one thing you can always say about that dude. He's what we like to refer to as allergic to boring fights. He breaks out punches. They might not be accurate, might not go where they want, but they're going to go. So there's still some fun to be had. The Fekradinov versus Dalby fight, I agree, is 100% a Schrodinger's contender kind of match. Both of those dudes, we've seen glimpses of potential, but neither one of them have really had that breakout big star fucking moment that they very much both need to get a hold of. Naimov versus Lima, I'm curious. Lima stepping in on short notice, coming over from Octagon. I'm not necessarily excited about the fight, but I'm curious to see how it plays out because it could say a lot about both of those fighters going forward here. I don't understand how people are giving Jared Gordon so much credit coming into this fight. Everywhere that I have seen people talking about it or odds in favor of it, Jared Gordon is getting way more favoritism in this situation than I can rationally comprehend here. For what it's worth, Nasrat Haqparast is not a world breaker. He's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. But at this point, given what we've seen, even on his low sides, I would still think he would be a wide favorable favorite, or excuse me, a widely respected favorite over Gordon. And I've seen people calling it as close to a draw, if not giving Gordon a favorite in this matchup here. So I'm very curious to see if maybe there's something that I just haven't caught on, something I missed in a social media post or something, maybe a video slid through, an interview I didn't catch, that somebody has seen something that I haven't here. But there's a lot of people saying that they think Jared Gordon has a very legitimate chance to not only win, but maybe like dominantly win this fight. And that's got me curious here. I'm very interested in that fight more than I was just because I'm a fan of Nasrat Haqparast. Can wise though, I mentioned it earlier. I will mention it again. Credit to Antonio Tricoli for stepping in on 3 fucking days notice. But the fact that it's a 3-day notice fight, the fact that it's Shara Bullet, the one-eyed fucking pirate, and the fact that it's just another pair of unranked middleweights combined, or any of the 3, should be enough to get this fight off the goddamn main card. There are several on the prelims that should and would do vastly better than I feel that this fight has any potential to be. I just don't see a world where this fight comes out with all of us having our fucking socks blown off, even if the pirate does some crazy shit. I'm not ready to call the Gastelum versus D-Rod fight a can, but I think at this point, I do agree, low-hanging fruit or not, Gastelum has secured his place at can status. Unless he miraculously, and it would be miraculous, shows up tomorrow morning for weigh-ins and hits 170 pounds with no towel, no box of shame, doesn't look like fucking Skeletor, says I was just fucking with you guys like Ryan Garcia, and then goes out and smokes D-Rod like a $10 pre-roll. There's nothing Gastelum can do to get back in winning fucking favor to undo the damage that he has done to his fucking legacy at this point. I'll be surprised genuinely if he makes middleweight. If he somehow does anything other than that, it will be a miracle. So I don't know if D-Rod's going to be able to get in here and style on it, or if we're even going to see the fight, but it would take a fucking act of God at this point to get D-Rod out of my winning column for that pick. The one that I will call my contender matchup, though, is that fucking co-main event. Russia versus Russia. Pavlovich versus Volkov. We've seen both of these dudes be hammers. We've seen both of these dudes be nails. And like Christian mentioned, this is the potential first big fight we've got from heavyweights in 2024. Neither one of these dudes back down. These dudes are both go forward till you get cracked or go forward till you crack them kind of heavyweight fighters. Granted, I think Volkov has a few more tricks in his bag of tools at his disposal than Pavlovich does, but I'm almost more curious to see if Pavlovich is going to come into this fight gun shy or not than I am if Volkov's going to try and get a fucking Von Flue choke on the big goofball. Like, we already know if this fight goes to the ground, Pavlovich is in trouble. Volkov's going to be able to do pretty much what he wants with that big no-neck having son of a bitch. But if that giant shoulder to earlobe motherfucker can keep this fight on the feet, Volkov has had his bell rung more than a time or two. It's not like he's impenetrable or has a granite fucking chin. If you clean clock that son of a bitch real good, he folds like a fucking cheap lawn chair. But thanks to Tommy Aspinall, now we know that Pavlovich can do the same fucking thing. If you push the button on that big son of a bitch, he goes good night too. Volkov, for all of his shortcomings, has also got big power and big fucking hands, and he can put him to fucking faces. We've seen him do real fucking good when he does real good. If Pavlovich comes in here still fucking gun shy, I think there's a chance that Drago's going to ruin his fucking evening, man. I'm curious to see how it plays, but I'm leaning towards Drago coming in to just ruin the red panty night of fucking Pavlovich here.
I like it. I like it. Like you said, I'm probably the most excited for that one, but I'm also the most interested in the main event. There's very little otherwise that I'm too interested in, but man, hopefully it's better than expected. I agree with both of you boys on most of your shit. Appreciate you like always.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that'll bring us to the point in most podcasts where you would get some bullshit mid-roll fucking advertisement for some company that doesn't have anything to do with the fucking show for a product that no one on the show actually fucking uses. And we don't play like that here. On the I'm No Joe podcast, we are 100% supported by viewers like you. If you would like to help what we get up to here around the I'm No Joe podcast, patreon.com/I'm No Joe is the way to do it. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name on the end of every broadcast that goes across this channel to let everyone know how much of a badass you are, and thank you for your contribution. You also get access to unaired and literally unairable content, things that OnlyFans deemed not appropriate for their platform, but we got Patreon to take care of it for us here. So long as you give us a buck and show that you're of age, you can get access to all the craziness we've got over on the backside of our support tier here, and it helps us do what we do here at the show. That being said, this next segment is the only segment on the show that does require its own individual disclaimers. So, if you will, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast yet. That being said, Tapology does offer you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks. They even let you make groups on there. So we went over there and we did that. We made a group called I'm No Bookie. It's also located under group 965. However you need to find it, it is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged to go over there, make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the fuck you are so we can hold your picks accountable with ours in a little segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome to the shit show. So, going to start off as we do every other week. We're going to start by going over last week's fucking results. And I know that there are going to be a lot of people very happy with what is going on in the results neck of the woods for last week. Specifically, our entire fucking group. Everyone but 2 people was over 500% last week. Then there's a fucking dude by the name of Don. Back-to-back fucking weeks, absolutely crushing it. He pulled 10 of 11 correct, 640 points. It's a fucking amazing week. Only one fucking fight wrong all last week. Glad I didn't watch to see that shit happen live, because it would have pissed me off. We had a fucking close run-in for second between myself and Christian. Both 7 correct. I beat him out with, I think it was an extra decision versus, I had 2 extra decisions versus what Christian had. I have 5 decisions versus his 3, which that's an extra 50 points. That was that 50-point difference. Vinny wasn't far behind. Then we have to kind of scroll down a little bit into our group here to get down to the bottom. Meter somehow managed to come away with 5 correct of 11 for 340. But to take the cake, and somebody decided to trip over the beef flaps. Donna just pulled those bitches out, beat them with a meat mallet, tied him in a bow, threw him over her shoulder, then tried to stretch him out with her new prosthetic knee. And it just didn't work.
Ironically, on the other side of the coin, though, I'd forgotten until I just looked it up a second ago to make sure. Don did so well last week. He was tied for 6th out of 3,000 people above me, because I was down in the fucking 3,000s. There was 8,000 people total that entered last week, or like 79, 40 change, whatever. Essentially, 8,000 fucking people, and Don was tied for number 6.
First page, baby. First page.
Yeah, he had his shit in a fucking row very well last week.
I'm guessing he could have been first had he fucking pulled that other fucking card. Had to been in within the nuts here. We'll call it that. So now, with all of that being said, Don with his back-to-back week wins here. I'm sure all of the fucking shine is probably going to fall off this weekend or next, because although Don had been in a slump for a really long fucking time, so I'm not gonna lie, kind of rooting for him, kind of glad he's got his shit back together now. And on the plus side, he made his picks on the right fucking platform, so they will go towards what I'm about to talk about next, the Summer Grand Prix, which is fucking fantastic. We have 2 more events left to do this week. June 22nd, and the following Saturday, June 29th, UFC 303. So, right now, as it sits currently, with my 2nd place finish, I am still sitting atop the leaderboard at 3,800 points. Christian not far behind me at 3,670. Vinny, middle of the fucking pack, not far behind either. 3,595. It's literally anybody's fucking race right now. Donna, even with her slip up this week, 3,555. Meter, you're going to have to beat Don off with a fucking stick for the next 2 fucking weeks to keep him from coming back on you. You're sitting at 3,220. He's sitting at 3,035. They're fucking a couple hundred points. He can, the way he's pulling right now, he could pull that in 2 weeks. So make sure you get your fucking picks in. For those of you who aren't aware, Tapology is free. You can create a free account. It is free to make picks. If you would like to make picks, join up, sign up, join our group 965, or I'm no bookie. Let us know who you are. You have 2 weeks to get your shit in. If you're listening to this on something other than YouTube, you have 1 week. Because these, of course, go up the week after. That's group 965. I'm No Bookie on Tapology. Let us know who you are, and we will gladly add you.
Addendum to that, we were talking about that a little bit this week. Due to the constant dick stepping of the UFC, they have not provided an updated summer/fall schedule yet. As of right now, when the Summer Grand Prix ends after 303, there are only 4 total events listed before September for the official UFC calendar, which is what the Grand Prix is run by. So as of right now, there is a delay. It looks like we're going to hold off. We're not going to be able to do a midsummer solstice, fall, early, late spring, whatever the fuck you want to call Grand Prix, and a winter Grand Prix as well, because the UFC can't keep their shit together and keep their own schedules. So when the Summer Grand Prix ends, we're going to have a couple week breaks for the UFC to get their shit together. We're waiting for you, John Jones. And then put the rest of their scheduling out so we can put together a more legitimate Grand Prix to round out the year. Maybe just do a couple small events at the end of the year, 3 or 4 event for the championship or whatever. But thanks to the UFC's own incompetence here, they've delayed our fucking glorious Grand Prix system. But we will keep it going. And if you do want to get involved in whatever we end up doing for the end of the year, take your ass on over to tapology.com, go to group 965 or I'm No Bookie, whichever you need to use. Find it, join it, and let us know who the fuck you are so you can get into all the fuckery.
You'll get shit talked about you when you do poorly. And you'll get patted on the back when you do well. A la Don the last 2 weeks. Just saying. It's fucking fantastic. And this week, things are pretty close and we're getting towards the end of the Grand Prix, so I figured I should cover them all because it's kind of important right now. With all of that being said, and us reminding you a bunch of times to go join Tapology because it's free, we're going to move on over to all of the wonderful odds for this week. I say wonderful very lightly because for the most part, there is a lot of coin flips on this fucking card. A lot. And I'm going to do a little honorable mention of what some fights would have been had they stayed on the card because they're kind of interesting. Like, let me start with one of them. What was supposed to be the main event in Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. That Whittaker coming in as the underdog at a plus 200 and Khamzat coming in as a favorite at a minus 250. Not quite a coin flip, but still wide enough odds where they thought something crazy was going to fucking happen. Like I said, most everything is going to be fucking coin flips, but I'm going to cover a couple of them that are notable and things you need to know about. So one of them that we, myself and Christian included, were considering a fucking worthwhile contender fight to watch. Renat Fakhretdinov and Nicholas Dalby. We got Fakhretdinov coming in as a minus 375 favorite over a plus 280 in Dalby, which I think might be a little wide considering Dalby's been, every time he's been called an underdog, he's been coming in and fucking murdering people. So this is one, if you're a bettor, I'm going to say go ahead and keep your eye on this one because it might be worth your while to make that bet on Dalby. Fakhretdinov is a fucking, right, it seems right now to be a tall fucking task for anybody because nobody's been able to beat him. They've been able to get him to a draw, but Dalby seems to be that fucking character lately. The Nasrat Haqparast and Jared Gordon fight. A little more than a coin flip here. Jared Gordon coming in as a plus 195 underdog, and Nasrat coming in as a minus 250 favorite. So a little bit wider, not stupidly wide, but a little bit. Here's something fucking crazy, and I have to mention it because it is fucking crazy. Kelvin Gastelum, Daniel Rodriguez. For some ungodly fucking reason, The bookies still have Kelvin Gastelum as a minus 225 favorite over a plus 185 in Daniel Rodriguez. I don't think that's correct, especially knowing what we know now of him having a hard time making weight even at 185. So take that with a grain of salt. This might be one where you want to go the D-Rod all the way, throw the fucking house on it, because, you know, is I will say wait until weight comes, and then you'll know what kind of shape and where Kelvin is at, and you can kind of base your bet off of that. But that one's definitely worth keeping an eye on there. One I did skip over there and wasn't paying attention to, Brenson Ribeiro, Magomed, fucking alphabet soup last name. Not gonna try that shit. They've got Ribeiro coming in as a plus 270 underdog, and Alphabet Soup as a minus 340 favorite. So, pretty wide odds there. Oh, co-main. Excuse me, no, one last one that is the widest odds on the card before we do the co-main. And the one that we were all fucking dogging on earlier. Sharabulid Magomedov and Antonio Tricoli. They've got Sharabulid coming in as a minus 650 favorite over a plus 475 Antonio Tricoli. All Tricoli has to do is put him on his fucking back. And the dude's like a fish out of fucking water. So I think the odds are a little bit fucking skewed there, but also every fight starts standing up. Every round starts standing up. So they do kind of have to sway in his favor a little bit. I just don't think it's that far. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. I'm not the bookie. I don't watch fights every week because, like last week, I didn't watch them. Oh, wait, I do watch every fight every other week, except for when they're fucking terrible. Okay, so yeah, maybe I should be the bookie. Who knows? Oh, moving on to the co-main and the mains here. Alexander Volkov and Sergey Pavlovich. They've got Pavlovich only coming in as a minus 250 favorite over a plus 195 in Alexander Volkov. Obviously, there's still a lot of faith in Volkov, and they've kind of taken away the crazy odds from Pavlovich that he's had in the past since getting knocked out by Tom Aspinall. Which duly noted, that makes your odds go down when you're not that wrecking ball anymore, and you've now become the nail at one point instead of the hammer. And we've seen what Volkov can do, so that makes sense. Oh, on to the last minute fucking replacement in Ikram Aleksarov versus Robert the Reaper Whitaker. This is the craziest fucking odds on the card, in my opinion. Absolute fucking craziest. It's damn near a coin flip. They have Robert Whitaker coming in as a minus 160 favorite over a plus 130 in Ikram Aleksarov. I'm pretty sure those are a little skewed. I understand short notice is bad for both fighters, but the Reaper's been at the top of the game for a fucking long time. Yeah, Ikram's come through and he's done a lot of good fucking work. I think the other reason why they're giving that little nod of closer to coin flip is because of where it's at. Being as we are in fucking Riyadh, it's a big fucking difference that they're gonna skew towards Islamic fighters and things like that to adjust the odds a little bit. And I think this is where I was gonna bring something up earlier, but this is a much better time to turn it in now. And that is anything you hear in a Magomedov, Namayev, fucking whatever the last fucking name is that ends in a V. When they were in fucking the Middle East last, everybody who ended in a V took a fucking dub, including, I think, Volkanovski, because Volkanovski was on one of those cards there. And Volkov, everyone who's fought in the Middle East who's ends with a V has won their fucking fights. So keep that in mind. Granted, most of them are Islamic, not all of them, but they're Islamic or Russian, and they tend to win the fights over there. But they also have a heavy pull as far as fan base is concerned there. Just because, well, it's that part of the world. It's no different than us rooting for US fighters when there's some dude from fucking Russia, Ivan Drago looking motherfucker across the ring from him. It's that same concept. So just put that as this little side note in your head. Last time they were in the Middle East, everyone who had a V with the last name as the last letter won their fights across the fucking board. Cute little piece of trivia for you, but it's something to think about when making your bets. So some of those ones like the Chikoli Magomedov Sharbula fight there, that one, I don't think that one's quite right. That might be the one where we see somebody shit the bed, but home field advantage is a real thing, even in fighting. Well, unless your name is Derek Lewis, because then when you get on home turf, you shit the bed. But either way, those are the odds for this week. We'll be talking 303 next week. We'll see what other kind of fuckery happens between now and then with that 303 card. All I'm going to say is worst International Fight Week fuckery ever. But also, one other thing to mention, do not forget, I know we mentioned it earlier, if you are planning on watching the UFC this weekend, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 Central, noon Eastern Standard Time. That is for those of you in the United States. Hawaii, you're 4 hours behind right now, so it would be fucking 8 a.m. Hawaiian time. So just know it's an early fucking card if you're in the United States, because, well, they're in the Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, when you go to an away show, the crowd generally roots for the home team. We've seen firsthand examples of it, like a guy from Hawaii fighting a guy from England in the middle of Missouri, and the crowd starts chanting USA. So, local support is local support. That's just how fights be. That being said, that is what we've got for this particular episode. Thank you very much. If you have tuned in live, we do this pretty much every Thursday before a big fight weekend live on youtube.com/at I'm No Joe around 9:30 p.m. ish Central Standard Time. If you cannot catch it live, the replay does stay up on YouTube, but we own mirrors, so we get it. So we also put the podcast out in all audio format a week later. Anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. You can pick it up for your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google, Spotify, Apple, you name it. We're fucking everywhere you want to be, like MasterCard. That being said, you want to help out what we do, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. Best way to do that. But when the show is over here, that's not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning, that fell. Wait, no, he's over there. That fell over there. No, he's over there. There we go. That fell over there. And his other half put out their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over there on Spreaker.com. Links to that podcast and their social media, as well as their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down below in the description. Go tell them how awesome they are. God damn it.
Appreciate you, brother. The fun never fucking stops once you get back around to the fucking best day of every week, hump day, with the brother's on his regular schedule. Golf Tee Vapes. Tune into his YouTube channel, Foggy Fairway, every Wednesday night around 9:30. Brother's been taking that much needed time off, spending time with family and shit. He's still got links to all of his social medias and everything else he does down in the description as well. Make sure you show the brother some love and support.
Fuck yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Those of you who don't know, like I said, I was on a hiatus. We were supposed to come back this week, but yesterday we had some issues. We'll just leave it at that. And we'll be coming back next week to have a chat about what's going to happen in the future. So next week, Wednesday, so 5 days from now, we'll be around. Now, In that meantime, if you're bored in those 5 days, you have nothing better to do, or you just want something to do, know that the meter does more than just kicky punchies. In fact, the meter does many things. If you want to link to those many things, you can go down below. There are Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm no Joe. That will take you to all of the many things that the meter does do. Go click on them. I can guarantee you there's 5 days worth of content there. Guaranteed, because, well, hell, even if you want to go back and watch old shows of us, that'll get you through 5 fucking days. Easy. But there's plenty of other things. Go click those links. Enjoy yourselves.
Much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. That being said, that is pretty much all we have got for this particular episode. So if you like what we get up to around here, give us a thumbs up. Make sure your notifications are turned on and you are subscribed, whatever platform you are picking this up on. We appreciate you. On the other side of that coin, if you made it this far through a podcast and you don't enjoy us, what the fuck are you still doing here? Give us a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, I have a giveaway going on for 1 more week for a free banger setup to help make some cannabis connoisseurs 710 a little bit nicer. So it's going on because of the homie Let's Sesh 420. His links to his channel will be down below as well. Go check out Jason's channel. He's an awesome cat. Enter the fucking giveaway. It's free. You can win some cool shit to have yourself a good summer. Don't forget to check out all the links down below for all the fun stuff you can do. Share an episode of the podcast with a friend. Help us grow the damn thing. But that's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.